Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So we're just going to do another review on Reddit about people who struggle with HELOCs. So I've done this in several videos where I look up Reddit posts and I can find a post where it's like I have a HELOC and it's eating me alive or it's crushing me or I'm struggling with it, and I'm just going to show you if you make one little tweak to your behavior, or maybe a couple minor ones in addition to the big tweak, you're not going to struggle with a HELOC. And some people think, hey, if I do this thing called velocity banking, all I have to do is just have a HELOC and I'm set. No, 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 no. Velocity banking is having a HELOC as your main operating account, right? Whereas if you get a HELOC and do what the bank wants you to do, you're going to be in the struggle bus, okay? Now, I noticed two characteristics that people have, or these posts have, when they talk about how they struggle with HELOCs, right? Number one is they talk about home renovations and upgrades, okay? So if you ever go to a bank's website, they always talk about, yeah, use your HELOC for a home remodel, right? Just because you're using your home equity as collateral for a line of credit doesn't has nothing to do with whether you're going to upgrade your home or not, right? It's just your home equity is collateral, okay? You can use it for consolidating debt, you could use it for various uses, but why do they promote home remodels? Let's think about that, okay? Number two is that it's culturally ingrained in us to have savings accounts, right? So in these Reddit posts, you always see a mention of how they have $20,000 or $30,000 of savings. Isn't that kind of weird? How can you have all these savings yet still struggle with a HELOC? And that's because instead of going to zero savings, which is the opposite of what Dave Ramsey teaches you, okay, people feel like they need their savings to feel secure, but your home equity line of credit can be your new savings account if you decide to use velocity banking. Now let's think about the bank's agenda, and let's think, do some little bit of role play. If I were the bank, what would I want my client to do? Right? Would I want them to pay off the line of credit quickly? No. And so the agenda that you probably would want them to have is to make big purchases, right? And home renovations are big purchases. And if you've ever done a fix and flip before, 10,000 is like a light rehab. Anything over 50 is major. So you're hoping, man, like if you can do like a 50 to $100,000 rehab job, and more than $100,000, that's like a full gut rehab, right? If you ever fix and flip the house, and then, okay, here's the kicker. You want them to make minimum payments. And how do you assure that you get the minimum payments? Savings accounts, right? You gotta save some of your money. So if you have your money saved at like 1 to 4%, but the line of credit is charging you 10, you're good. You're almost assuring that you're not going to be paid off quickly, and that's how you profit, right? So big purchases, you talk about, man, you got to do the home remodel, and then you got the culture just doing the work for you, telling you you got to have a savings account, and you combine those two, that's big profit, all right? So let's go ahead and read this Reddit post on personal finance, okay? And the title of the post is HELOC Loan Crushing Us. This right here, HELOC Loan Crushing Us. Okay, so let's go ahead and read it. So my husband and I decided to put an addition on our house. We did research. Okay, addition on our house. You got that? That's home renovation. That's a home upgrade. Big purchase. Oh my goodness. Like I'm a psychic, right? So we did research and found the monthly payments to be manageable at the time. Again, monthly payment. Since then, the payments have doubled to the point in which we are paying over $1,000 a month just on the loan. So I think they don't even know if it's a line of credit or a loan. And again, a line of credit, when you pull out money, it's technically a loan. I get that, but let's just use general terminology here. But just a loan, and 100% of it goes towards interest, right? So $1,000 a month interest payment. That's crazy. And it says, I feel like these payments are eating us alive. Okay, my husband is the only one with the access to the account. I don't know how that happened. It's not my husband's fault. I assure you, he's not doing anything sketchy. I think we just got a new banker. I suggest making large payments towards it, or somehow setting up 100 or 200 monthly payment toward principal, but it hasn't happened yet. Our house is literally 2.5%, so they got a really cheap mortgage. So rolling them together doesn't seems like a bad idea, and I agree with that, right? Like you don't want to refinance so you can, pay off your home equity line of credit and then have to go to a 2.5% interest rate to like 7 or anything like that. You don't want to do that. Now, we have about $25,000 in savings. Ding, 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 ding. Told you that people who struggle for some reason have to have savings. So we have $25,000 of savings. Is there another solution we can do? Should we just bide our time until interest rates go down and freeze it? Right? And so I'm assuming that this is not an actual loan. This is an actual home equity line of credit. And this person just is kind of a little iffy with the terminology. But I kind of ran it like a something that would be similar here. So $25,000 savings. Maybe we got 3 credit cards. If it's $1,000 of payments a month, and we assume it's a 10% interest rate, that's a $120,000 balance, folks. This is a major upgrade or renovation, right? I mean, we talked about here an addition to our house. So that's, again, I don't know why you would do that unless like you were going to sell the home and it was going to substantially upgrade the value of your home. But I talked about this in a previous video. If you're gonna the only reason that I'd ever like renovate or upgrade the kitchen or something like that is if my kitchen was completely broken and it wasn't going to work, right? Like I need to renovate it because the faucet ain't working. But if you ain't going to sell the home and the home upgrades aren't substantially going to raise the value of your home, no need to spend $100,000 or more than $100,000 to get $1,000 a month in interest payments, right? It's crazy, right? So here's the thing. Here's what I would do. Okay, we're going to do this thing called velocity banking. All velocity banking is a debt payoff strategy using your lines of credit as your main tool. Okay, and we can just tell here just the fact 2 things, right? We're just making the monthly payment, and then number 2, we know we're not putting all of our money into that line of credit because we have savings. Okay, the opposite of velocity banking is having a savings account. If you want to kind of deconstruct it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a few things. Okay, we could just, let's say we have 3 credit cards, right? We could just dump this 25 grand into these 3 credit cards, and but let's actually just kind of go over this part right here. So what do you need to do? We have to have a budget. So the budget is our debt attack plan, and we assume a couple of things. Again, I don't know what their income is, but if they have $25,000 in savings, and they're able to pull out more than $100,000 in equity, they must have some pretty decent income, right? But if this HELOC payment is eating them alive, that's kind of crazy. And I just made this number up, right? This is what I think could be possible, but let's just go ahead and do this. So again, when we do velocity banking, we're going to put our entire paycheck into that line of credit and make it as our main operating account, which means that the savings must go to zero, or let me do this, zero, and we're going to have something called cash flow, okay? So cash flow, so savings will always go to zero until we pay off debt, okay? So right now, we haven't actually done this strategy yet, but let's assume we have $120,000 in our HELOC, and this is going to be our main operating account. And we'll also make an assumption that we have a $160,000 credit limit. Okay, so kind of think of it as like a $160,000 a credit card based on the value of home, because that's what's a home equity line of credit, right? Line of credit, all it is a financial tool. You can borrow money, pay it back, and use it over and over again. So the difference between here, this, which essentially represents the Reddit post, is that you're not using your home equity line of credit as your main operating account, right? And the other thing too is that we don't, like I said before, we have to make smart decisions with our money. So we're not going to go along with the bank's agenda, which is just big purchases and minimum payments, right? We should never spend $100,000 for home renovations unless, like I said before, we're substantially going to upgrade the property. We're substantially going to upgrade it, and we plan to sell it, right? Or our home is completely uninhabitable and we have access to equity to do some upgrades. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do this. We're going to do something scary here. So this 25 grand, we're going to apply to this credit card debt. Okay, so 25 grand. How much is this? This is 28. I think it's 28. So 13, yeah, 28. So let's just go ahead and do this and do this. Okay, and so now, so this is 2023. Now this is going to be kind of become 2K, right? So we're going to go ahead and make it $2,000 when we apply this 25 grand into this credit card debt. We don't need no savings here. If we're saving at 1 to 4% and we have credit card debt at 30, 27, 27, even at HELOC at 10, we're losing money. We got to dump all of our money into these credit cards and debts and lines of credit, okay? Now, what do we do with this 2,000? Let's go ahead and move it to this home equity line of credit right here. So now this is going to be 122,000. And now once we move the entire balance, oh my goodness, this is also a zero as well. So now we went from this $1,000 of cash flow to $2,000 of cash flow, okay? $2,000 of cash flow by dumping all of our savings. Again, velocity banking, if you really did construct it, is anti-savings, okay? So we're putting all of our savings into these credit cards, and then what we're going to do is make this home equity line of credit as our main operating account. Now, the actual strategy, let me go over this, is you put your entire paycheck into the line of credit, expenses out, and then it goes down by this cash flow. But here's the crazy thing, okay? What happens when we put our entire paycheck into the line of credit? Does this payment matter? No. It gets satisfied if we're doing it over and over again. So now the cash flow goes to 3,000, right? Goes to 3,000. We were on the struggle bus in this column. Now we multiply our cash flow by 3 simply by rearranging our finances and getting rid of the savings. And so after every single month, it's going to go down by 3,000 plus the interest. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this, right? Calculate the next month's balance, which is the previous month's balance plus the previous month's interest, minus this cash flow number, which is 3010.5, right? And then every time we do this, we have to get the average daily balance. So let's go ahead and do this and find out what this average daily balance is, and then multiply it by 0.1, divide by 12. Actually, this isn't sum. That's not correct. It's average, AVG, my bad. All right. Oh, I screwed up. Let me try this again. Okay, so let's go here, right here, average. I got to spell it out completely. That's kind of weird. Okay, so now 0.1, which is 10%, and then you divide by 12, right? So now what we're going to do is all we got to do is copy and paste, and then let's see how long it takes us to pay off this line of credit. Now, I don't know what their salary is, right? So it's just hypothetical. But what I'm saying is that just the way, like anytime you hear the word struggle and home equity line of credit or line of credit, it to me that translates to I'm not using my home equity line of credit as my main operating account, and I have a savings account, right? Because what is the bank's formula for profit? Big purchases plus minimum payments is essentially the struggle plus for you and profit for the bank, right? Let's go back here. Crushing us. HELOC loan, crushing us. Let me highlight that right here. Crushing us. Okay? So let me go back here and we'll figure out, again, if they have more income, obviously it'll work a lot better. But let's see how long it takes to not get crushed by this insane $120,000 home renovation project or upgrade project, which is 50 months, right? 50 months. And then I'm just going to see how many years is that. That's about 4 years, right? So 4 years. So you see, again, number one, we want to be smart with our money, right? So if we're going to spend over $100,000 on home renovations, you're gonna, it's gonna take a long. Now, if you stay in that home for many years, that's perfectly fine. But if your home is livable, spend that $120,000 and use it to start a business, generate income. Because you making home renovations on your home personal property, yeah, it's great that you get to pay it off in 4 years. But what if you spent it on investments that made you a lot more money or your own business, right? Like, would I rather spend $120,000 on home renovations or creating my own business? I definitely use it to create my own business. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, yes, we did have a little bit of difficulty here. Let's, again, 25,000. We put it in that line of credit or in those credit cards. Now, if they put in, if they don't have any credit cards and all they have is a HELOC, even better, right? So we just put this in here. And then, again, paycheck in, expenses out. So after every month, we're going to have $3,000 going down. and then we'll pay it off in about month 50, which is about a little bit over 4 years, right? So not bad for being able to pay off $120,000. But again, we don't want to do what the banks want us to do, or else, yeah, they make it all look really glitzy about how you can use a HELOC for a home remodel. But I mean, don't follow the bank's plan, which is big purchases for minimum payments, folks. There's nothing in that home equity line of credit contract that says you have to do it for home renovations, or as far as I'm aware, they say there's nothing in it that says that, right? But I know there are some restrictions based on your lender. But in my experience, I've never seen one that says you must use this for home renovations. Because why are they encouraging you to do it for home renovations? Again, big purchases, and then because the fact that the culture encourages you to have a savings account, what you're going to do is just make a minimum payment into that line of credit and then have the rest in savings, right? You see how people struggle with HELOCs. This is the bank's like two-step formula, home renovations and savings accounts, and well, you think you're going to have like a great time, and then next thing you know, in 2 or 3 years, or even probably after 6 months, you're struggling, and then you go post on Reddit about how you're on the struggle bus with the home equity line of credit, and you're wondering, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You followed the bank's plan, and you're on the struggle bus, right? But when we do velocity banking, we have a lot more control of our money, and we're not in the struggle bus anymore. Okay. All right. Well, this is Karina Lanta Mentorship. Just another video for today. Dissecting Reddit posts about how people struggle with HELOCs and they don't do velocity banking, and make awful purchases with real estate. All right. Well, have a great day, everybody, and we will speak next time.